Hello and welcome back to the Sunday Funday podcast. I'm your host, Commissioner Coates, and I'm joined kind of by my co-host, Alan Orms. Um, he has taken a vow of silence until he wins a championship, so don't expect to hear him speak anytime soon. Now, he lost his voice, so he's here for vibes. He's not going to be talking today. I've got some questions from him, so good to have you, Alan, in spirit. Uh, Today, we are joined by our 2022 Mr. Nickie No-Nos. What's up, Nickie?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good to have you. So, let's start with the life update. What's going on baseball for you, Nickie?
Not a whole lot. Just working, hitting the gym, trying to climb my way to the top, if you will. About to get ramped up with some activities. Golf season's around the corner. Baseball's right behind that. So, just kind of.
Did you have a good birthday?
Did have a good birthday. I was glad to be accompanied by all of you all. I hope you had a good birthday as well. It was good to get the gang together.
Yeah, for sure. It always is. All right, let's start things off. You already know where we're starting. You have finished runner-up the last two seasons in heartbreaking fashion both times. Why can't you cross the finish line?
You know you are correct. Very heartbreaking fashion both times. The steal in Sunday Night Baseball, last matchup, last hour of the clock versus Carlin for him to force a tie, and he had the tiebreaker from the most unlikely candidate to get a steal. That one hurt. Kind of similar scenario, not as heartbreaking, but just as heartbreaking in the grand scheme of things. I benched the steal that would have tied the matchup, which I had the tiebreaker. So it's just kind of funny that it worked out like that. I don't really have a good reason why I can't cross the finish line. I don't want to copy Brock and chalk it up to variance, I believe was a quote that he said. But, just wrong place, wrong time, I guess. I don't really have a great explanation. I feel like I've gathered a good team consistently to do it, but just not quite enough. Might need to make a small tweak or two to push across the line.
Yeah, it's hard to say you need to make some kind of crazy big change when you've been in position 2 years in a row. It's just you got to chalk some of it up to luck, and just kind of it's not up to you all the time.
Right, in which I didn't necessarily. I mean, I was, I believe, fourth in the regular season last year. 2 years ago, I just squeezed in. So my team, I've been building for playoff runs, not necessarily, regular season super success. I drafted and stashed hurt superstars over the years. Famously, last year, drafted Tatis, held onto him all year for him to come back what was supposed to be the next day, and that never occurred, as you all know. So we'll give it another run this year. See what happens.
Sure. Well, let's not act like it was just a waste of a year. Like it ended tough, but let's look at the bright side. Last year, you were voted our first ever manager of the year. How did it to receive that kind of recognition from your people?
Good and bad. It's a little bit of a slap in the face. It's almost like a participation trophy to maybe not. That might be the best way to describe it, but of a quality team that just couldn't do it, which I don't want to be, falling under that category year in and year out. But it was, good to be recognized as at least someone that was able to have a little bit of success without winning, the overall prized Cowboy Cup.
All right, let me get to our non-Sneech question. This is question gathered by Alan from some of our non-sneeches in the league. Nickie, do you see yourself as a shady or evil player, given that you've been caught colluding a couple of times in your career?
No. I mean, there was a little bit of a couple gray lines / areas that I had crossed in my previous life. I tried to better myself moving forward. I have not been involved in those types of deals in at least a couple of years now. But no, I try to be as straightforward as possible. I see Alan did something weird on there, but I don't know if he wants to talk, but
I'm gonna make an attempt, okay? I think your punishment for being a shady colluder is back-to-back second place finishes by 1 steal. Just my
that could be a little bit of karma catching up to me. I did do a couple of, again, there was a couple times where the rules weren't necessarily 100% clear. Now, I made a trade, I believe, once with Connor, and we did not a one-day trade, but almost a version of that, to where a couple players were different in the trade that we traded back the next day. So kind of a one-day trade, but just a little bit of a twist. But yes, Orms, you could be correct in that sense of it catching up to me, of a couple of small shady things. But that was in my past. That's been at least a couple of years in the rearview mirror. So I guess it was just now catching up to me with the one steal in back-to-back year championship matchups.
You said that was in a past life. Have you been reborn? Did something change within you?
Yeah, a little bit. Just not the way that I want to be recognized as. I believe I've passed that torch down to other league members. Not going to name any names. I think we run a pretty tight ship, and it gets tighter by the year. But yeah,
This is actually the place to name names.
Yeah, please name.
I mean, I think, not to specifically name anyone, but Connor has been involved in a couple of those also. Other than the one that I was involved with him, he was involved in mine, and he was involved in other ones. So that's one name.
It was the Connor and Orms. Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Together.
I have short-term memory loss, so I can't remember exactly everything. But
I had to stretch and crawl to get my out of the basement, and I couldn't do it. That was my karma.
Yeah, that was your last place karma.
All right, let's get into your hypothetical question here. So, have you seen these graphics on like Twitter and Instagram where they like build the perfect baseball player? It could be like Matt Chapman's arm, Nolan Arenado's glove, Jordan's power, Arias's contact, whatever. I want you to do something like that, but I want you to build the perfect fantasy baseball manager using skills from other managers in the league. And once you get the perfect one, I want us to make a second one, the worst possible fantasy baseball manager. So to give a couple examples, maybe you want somebody's draft pick trading skills, you want somebody's free agency skills, stuff like that.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's a great one. Let's see here. All right, I will start with Henry's in-season trades and kind of buildup of his roster. He always seems to have a very slow start, but as the season progresses, it's almost like clockwork that he's getting hot at the right time. Dog days of the summer, end of the season as we're closing out, he's always a top dog. So I think I'll chalk that up to his kind of in-season trades and managerial moves. Michael, I would say you specifically would be a part of that with free agency pickups and things of that nature. I think you're famous to pick up Aaron Judge and flip him for Max Scherzer 1 year off waivers. I know you discovered Jordan. I'm not sure if that was a pickup in season. We'll just say that it is for the sake of this. Draft pick trades. I mean, one that has, fresh in my mind would be Brock Kersey. I'm allowed to use myself as one, I'm sure also. I would say that I am very good at building for a playoff run. I'm not necessarily going to chalk up the regular season wins and compete for that title of regular season first place, but building a team that is going to be a problematic matchup in the playoffs. And then if I can just add in Dawson Taylor, week-to-week manager. He's known for doing whatever he can do to win each specific week with his weekly Sunday trades, Saturday, whatever he has to do. It's really admirable. Sometimes it bites him in the ass come playoff time. I don't think he has any playoff wins in our history of the league, but regular season, weekly wins, he has some great attributes there. Worse ones, Q Williamson comes to mind very quickly for trades mainly. Whether it's his draft pick trades, in-season trades, I don't know if he's ever made a good one. I take that back. He's probably made a couple good ones. Might have been a little too harsh, but his bad ones vastly outweigh the good ones, unfortunately. One that's kind of weird, Chuck Johnson, in the sense of I don't know how you can possibly allow yourself to manage a team that only has one win. So, like, just, he's had some good years, but just in-season managerial, I'm going to chalk him up as a negative on that front. Just, I mean, that 1-15 really just shines through when I think of a negative. We'll stick with those two for now.
No
Oh
question.
wait, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm sorry. I actually have one more. Austin Hardley. I don't know what it is. He just, I understand he had never played before, but just, I believe it's 4 or 5 years at this point. Has not made the playoffs once. So I guess I'll chalk that up to kind of along the lines of Chuck and season managerial skills. He's a good friend of mine. I wouldn't necessarily like for him to be good because that could be an expense of myself. I don't think that it would be, but I don't want someone that's not good normally to be good just along those lines. But I don't know what it is with him, but he would definitely be a kind of bad manager robot, if you will, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd call it the complicit of Austin. Bad team, then he just doesn't make the moves needed. And how about the draft trading of Connor after what happened today and all off season?
Yeah. Last year he made some good draft pick trades, as Orms knows. But then he drafted awfully. So maybe it'll be vice versa this year. He'll hit on all of his 150s picks that he has now. I don't really know, but I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. If he really is punting the year just to keep Shohei for future years, that's a bold strategy. And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the strategy is. Maybe he has another trade in the works that he's getting ready to reflip him for. I definitely didn't necessarily like it for him. numbers wise, we were quite literally on Xbox last night playing. He said that he offered Brock a trade, sends Chuck and I a screenshot of the trade, and I said I don't know how Brock hasn't accepted that already. Like an instant accept, if you will. Brock oddly let it linger till about 2 p.m. today, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything quite too harsh about Connor on that front yet, but
I mean, yeah, we know he's a good in-season manager. He's had some bad teams and flipped them into playoff runs like last year, so we'll see. Yep. He's not out of it, but
no, good description.
Nickie, it's come to my attention that you have some beef with some of the answers that our other league members have made in their podcasts. Is there anything specific that you would like to address for us?
Yeah, I'd just like to rattle off a couple of small things. There's just been a lot of tomfoolery, buffoonery, just a couple of fact checks that I need to straighten out on really my behalf. I don't really understand. I mean, I know it's a league of hypotheticals, right? But at some point, if someone was going to address them, it was going to be me. Graham did famously say, "I live in reality," so I'm here for that. So we'll just kind of start at the top. Orms, nothing specific. I hope he has a better season than last year. The league is in better hands when he does, I will say. So I'm looking forward to that potential. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I'm hoping that we do. Carlin, there's almost, we could sit here all day. Graham said, I live in reality. Carlin lives complete opposite in fairy tale land. He said he co-manages my team, which is kind of funny because he loves to send me his, draft plan on a yearly basis. If he was co-managing my team, I would be in contention for last regularly like him, which I never have been. If I've ever texted him about anything, it was likely to oppose his advice. But yeah, he's one of a kind. And the drop on the head question in his interview, he guessed that I said it. I did not. Now, it was a great question, but it was not asked by me. So I just wanted to clear that up.
I don't know who that came from, but that was a good question. And we haven't really gotten to the bottom of it yet.
Yeah, it might have to do with someone else on this screen, but we won't go into that too much. Q Williamson, the only thing I really have for him was he famously said in his podcast he might get more aggressive in season trades this year. I think I speak for everyone when I say please do not.
Unless it's with me.
Yeah, please don't get more aggressive, Q, with trades. And also, you said that I might snitch on you in the bank robbery. That might be correct. I took that offensively at first, but I probably would, just like I snitch on all of your awful trades. Graham, I don't have much to say. Again, he's a good friend of mine, so it don't be negative, but it's almost a little bit embarrassing at this point. His finishes the last few years. I want him to do, kind of well. So it's just kind of embarrassing being a good friend of mine to see someone, just go through what he's going through. Austin, another good friend of mine. It's kind of wild the support he's getting from everyone, I will say. He said in his podcast he doesn't like my picks, which I think I should take as a compliment given how bad he's been. Also, he also said I had 7 or 8. This is a quote, 24th and 25th rounders, while at the time I only had 3 and still only have 3. So I'm not really sure why he wanted to make up a false thing, but there's going to be a few more of those coming up soon, which I'll move right into Connor. He is correct. I am in a golf blender. I still would put myself ahead of his last scramble partner, Commissioner Coates, but that's neither here nor there. He commented saying, "I made loser trades." That was an exact quote, which after today, I don't even know what in the world he was thinking. Seems like he's the one making loser trades. Even before that, he was big on getting his depth in the 150s, 200s, while I would move up on the front end, which I don't want to give away my philosophies. This thing is, you can get good players there, but you're just such more likely to have busts there that it's really, I feel like I can draft better than most in the 200s or 180s on, to where I'm getting guys there that have a good chance as being as good as guys in the early 100s. So also he made up a stat. I think he just hopped on the Henry train of complaining about Rengifo. He said Rengifo had 2 home runs and 5 RBIs against him on the weekend. Rengifo had 0 home runs and 1 RBI the entire week against Connor. So I don't know if he was just complaining to complain or blame something as a reason I beat him, but I don't know why he wanted to get in on that fairy tale. Dawson, I'm not sure what stakes at Trulfani's is, but I would be glad to do that with you. Don't really have anything negative to say about him. Brock, your podcast was as dry as a granny, I think I'm famously quoted as, which was weird given, your nature most of the time. And he snuck into the playoffs last year with a losing record. I wanted to put on note, so I can't really put that as a meaningful playoff appearance. I think I beat him pretty easily to go to the championship 2 years ago. Chuck, this kid calls me Poppy. He has not beaten me once in the last 4 years. I'm 5 wins and 2 ties against him. Famously, 2 years ago, I beat him in the final week of the regular season to get into the playoffs. Turned around, played him first round of the playoffs, and absolutely annihilated him.
And that's where the fraud came from.
That's where the fraud squad came from. Absolutely. He also made a note on his podcast, his Nightmare Blunt rotation, which I thought was kind of weird because I actually taught this kid how to smoke when we were in college. I was quite literally going over to his house when we first became good friends, and I was rolling up blunts, and he did not know how to smoke them. So I was trying my best to teach him how to smoke. He was just hitting and wasn't getting high. So we had a breakthrough. I taught him how to smoke. We've probably smoked 200 to 300 times. This man was finally higher than a kite. Never had a bad experience, and I get put in this Nightmare Blunt rotation when I was the one that taught him how to smoke. So I took a little offense to that, but guess we'll keep going. Henry, obviously the Rengifo thing was going to get addressed one more time. It was obviously, bad timing, I guess, is the best way that I can describe it for him. But what's the difference in Rengifo, having a great Sunday rather than him having Tristan Cass and fucking Josh Jung hitting 2 home runs on a Tuesday? Sure, the Sunday hurts at the end of the week. Oh, Michael Coach just texted me. Oh, he's frozen.
There we go.
I can hear you now. Okay.
Sorry. Oh, no, just the Rengifo thing. What's the difference between Rengifo? The timing, yes, it is heartbreaking for Henry, but what's the difference with his bums hitting home runs on a Tuesday than my bums hitting home run on a Sunday, other than, kind of just the heartbreak at the last second, I guess. He also got very lucky. My bread and butter all year was pitching. Had its worst week of the year. I believe Garrett Cole had 8 earned runs that week. Had a 5 ERA, 1.5 WHIP. I played Henry 3 times last year. He didn't beat me once. It was just a bad matchup for him either way. He had a really good team. It just didn't match up well against mine. But again, my pitching was so bad that week had that not occurred, I would have 8-2'd, 7-3'd him easily. I had the tiebreaker on him. So, I mean, yes, it's bad. I understand he can complain, but I don't really see what the difference of a Rengifo great Sunday to his Josh Jung or Tristan Cash great Wednesday. And then Michael Coates, congratulations on your championship last year. Well deserved.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm going after you because you seats for every single podcast. So
yes,
now you won't have hands to address me and all the absolutely dumb thing I was going to say.
Good. I didn't have anything dumb for you. I mean, you're a quality manager, and you did one dumb thing, but we'll address that later this week.
We will.
Also, I do want to note Henry did actually quote said Carlin and Q are his AAA and AA farm systems. He said that he didn't in his podcast. I just needed to fact check that for everyone also.
Yeah, we kind of changed the topic really quickly after he said that. I wish that we could have focused on longer because he said that we shouldn't complain his bad trades with Q because that will make him less likely to trade with us. Shouldn't it be the opposite? Like I don't know. It's pretty dumb, but
yeah,
whatever.
No, and Henry's no, I do wish I had a farm system. I would expect a tad bit of aggression if his hand wasn't in the cookie jar of their two teams. But he does always, typically put up a good team other than the shortened season where he just had a slow start, which he's famous for. But yeah, that his heartbreaker, a little bit of a heartbreaker in the semifinals. But I mean, I beat him by 20 runs, 6 RBIs, 0.4 average. I mean, I was kind of dominating him all week. He was lucky to even be able to complain about Rengifo.
Sure. All right, Nickie, do you have any bold predictions for the 2023 season?
Real quickly, I touched on it a little bit. For some reason, Chuck is standing out to me as a little bit of a regression towards his famous 1-in-15 season. I don't think it'll be that bad, but it's kind of weird. I've been playing a lot of Xbox recently. Him and Austin just seem to have been agreeing on everything. They're giggling like third grade schoolgirls on there. It's a little bit. I'm a little bit worried for Chuck if that's the person that he's agreeing with. Baseball knowledge on, and it was not necessarily baseball knowledge because I think Austin does know baseball, but I don't know why he's comfortable with that. He's making fun of my picks, guys who I'm going to target in my draft. Him and Austin are. So I don't know if that's the best person to agree with. So I could see a little bit of regression there on the fraud squad Johnson. That's my bold take.
And it is pretty bold.
He is his claim to fame right now is that his picks are Graham Berry's, but just slightly better. Graham Berry's picks are awful, so I'm not sure if that's a good claim to fame. But
hold on, yeah. Who's saying that? Let me take a look at his picks real quick because I've heard he has great picks.
Right.
11, 13, and then a clump. Okay. A Chuck clump. A Chuck theme segment.
Which they are a version of Graham's, but better at pretty much every position slightly, which I think is why Graham likes his picks. Why he likes Chuck's picks. But again, I don't know if that's a good claim to fame when I don't love Graham's picks necessarily. So, I mean.
Graham's got 19, 21, and then the Graham grouping. I don't know. Which, that's I don't know if I would say he's a slightly better version of Graham. I would give him more credit than that. Okay. To the fact you have fact checked other people's quotes.
I might be hating a little too much on the picks. Just kind of grouped it in with the fraud squad, but
it's the Chuck Chunk. That's what his group is. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, that is definitely better than grouping.
Personally, my voice is getting worse. But I think pick 13 is the best pick. You got to get that second round pick. the best second-round pick for keepers next year. It's going to be a fire pick. Big fan of Chuck's picks.
I agree.
I think we lost Coates.
I think we lost Coates again.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to wrap it up. But I do agree with you on the 13 pick, which it's hard to super plan for keepers. But that one, you're getting a borderline first-round talent, which you could possibly get at like the 24th pick next year. So I had that 13th pick and actually traded with Chuck, and I told him, I hope he treats it well. That was my pick. So I do agree with you there, Orms, but a little bit hard to plan for keepers, 100%. Unless you're sure I'm having this guy for the rest of the time, unless he gets hurt, kind of thing. But yes, I do agree that 13th pick, very solid for keepers.
I'm back. I'm not frozen anymore.
That Dollar General Wi-Fi.
I got the fucking AT&T fiber or whatever. It's the most expensive internet they have, and it doesn't fucking work. Nickie, how confident are you feeling this year for your own team? Are you confident enough to hold yourself accountable?
I am very confident. I think I'm going to have a great team. I really like my picks. I have a good top 100, a little bit of a break, then I'll pick it back up, in the late hundreds, where I'm going to get guys just as good as whoever's picking at 100. Do that every year. It's working out well for me. I'm very confident. I will hold myself accountable. Nothing super crazy. If I do not make the playoffs, I will personally take out each playoff member to lunch. Not a lunch of their choice. We're not doing anything crazy by any means. But I'll give them a handshake and say they were better than me this year. In this hypothetical, because I'm going to make the playoffs. But yeah, lunch on me for all playoff teams if I do not make the playoffs.
I love that. So do you want to spice it up and like drink a half gallon of milk or something at every lunch, or?
No.
Goes fucking milk, bro. Fuck out.
Yeah, that's just wild because he's obviously struggling. I climb stairs every day. I don't do that. I have hard enough time on like a level 9 for 15 minutes, much less max 15 level for 15 minutes off of milk or Fireball or whatever the drink of choices for the day. With no experience on the stairs, or maybe not no experience, but it's a tough one when you haven't been up there. When you're as healthy as an ox, much less.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to that altitude, like there's less oxygen, like it gets tough. So if he trained every day until the end of the season, it would still be really fucking hard. Like that's holding a sprint for 15 minutes. That's insane.
We're gonna have to be standing behind him in case he falls to catch him.
Right. Have like a trash can ready to go for when he vomits. Like it's gonna be a team effort. Well, Nickie, is there anything you want to say to the people before we sign off?
No, not much. Just good luck to everyone. I'm gonna get over the hump this year. I know I've won a couple championships in the mild East, but none in the wild West. So it's about time to get on to the real trophy when the league became a real league. But I was right there. So good luck to everyone. Do the damn thing. Draft week, it's time to roll. And Coach froze again right when we were about to cut it off.
God damn it, Coach.
But yeah, draft week. Let's get excited. Just a couple of days away.
God, fuck.
Getting excited to see everyone Friday. Do our activities. Basketball is going to be fun. I talk a lot of shit for being awful at basketball. But Coach is not going to do well on Friday. But yeah, I'm excited to see everyone Friday and Saturday.
Well, Nickie, it was great chatting with you. I look forward to dropping 20 on your head. And yeah, let's have a great weekend. Thanks for your time today. Alan, get that voice better. We need you for Friday and Saturday. He is dust right now.
I've been literally dust.
All right, I'm going to go call AT&T real quick. Chat with you guys later.
See ya.